Welcome back. Now, the crucial Eskom wage negotiations have collapsed. In an unprecedented move, Eskom management pulled the plug on the talks and declared a formal dispute with unions at the CCMA. Meanwhile, the National Union of Mineworkers says that it wants Parliament to investigate allegations of racism against the Iskom CEO, Ruyter, after Ruyter was cleared by an independent probe. Eskom announced that its board had received a report from Advocate Ishmael Semenya, who was appointed to investigate the claims against Ruyter. The report found no evidence substantiating the allegations. So to help us unpack these latest developments at Eskom, we joined via Zoom by the NUM Energy Sector Coordinator, Khangela Baloyi, and he's not there quite as yet, but we will be joined shortly by Eskom Spokesperson, Sikhonathi Mantshantsha. But let's start with Mr. Baloyi. Thanks so much for your time this morning. Welcome to Morning Live.
Thank you.
Now, Mr. Baloyi, let's just start with the wage negotiations that have now deadlocked and Eskom basically declaring a dispute, and unprecedented in wage negotiations as we know them. So let's get your reaction to that first and foremost.
Yeah, we view this as a refusal to bargain. Because, you see, we still had rounds and days of bargaining as per the recognition agreement. But we were surprised to receive a 711 form that indicated that there is a dispute, because we thought we could still meet each other halfway.
So you had no indication that Eskom had already reached the end of the road, so to speak, on their side?
We did not have an indication for that. Remember, on Monday, actually, we dropped our percentage increase to 10%. That was a way to make Eskom to make a move as well. But it was conditional to say that we are dropping so that you move. If we don't move, we are going back to 15%. And then they requested a caucus. After they requested the caucus, they said, no, we're going to come back in the morning with a response. And then in the morning, yesterday, they just said to us, okay, we are declaring dispute. We can't be able to meet your demands.
So now that the talks have deadlocked, the question, I suppose, for many South Africans is, should we be worried? What are the possible implications of this?
There are implications of this. You know, we have a workforce in Eskom of people with very low morale, you see. So definitely, if you have workers with low morale, the productivity goes down. That's proven fact. You know, productivity of workers goes down. That's why it will affect workers' productivity. But talking about maybe an industrial action, we are not encouraging as the NUM any worker to go for industrial action, because we are essential services. But we cannot say to South Africans that is not going to happen, because we don't have control of people that are angry.
Mr. Sikhonathi Mantshantsha joins us now, Eskom spokesperson. Thanks for your time this morning, Mr. Mantshantsha. But let's just start with the surprise move, at least surprising unions, that Eskom basically walked away from the negotiations at this stage. So what were the reasons, essentially, for this move?
Declaring a dispute is not walking away. It is a mechanism allowed for in the negotiations, and Eskom has done exactly that when they could not reach an agreement with the trade unions, as represented by the National Union of Mineworkers, the National Union of Metalworkers, and Solidarity Trade Union. Eskom, as a company that has been heavily reliant on taxpayer bailouts, cash bailouts, since at least 2015, has tabled a basic wage increase of 1.5%, which is the only offer that it can provide under the circumstances. It's a company whose status is well known by the people of South Africa, who have been keeping it going, by indeed the workforce of Eskom, who have received their every cent owed to them on payday as contracted, despite the very well-known problems of the company not having cash, and it could not reach an agreement, and therefore decided to use the mechanisms allowed in the recognition agreement and in South African law to file a dispute and to take it forward to the CCMA, where within the law we hope to get a resolution.
So at this stage, would it be fair to say that Eskom has effectively drawn a line in the sand? It's 1.5, you are not going to move from that?
That is Eskom's final offer, 1.5%, which is conditional on employees accepting some changes in the benefits that are currently enjoyed by the employees represented in the bargaining forum.
What changes are those?
Sakina, Eskom has identified some aspects of the wage benefits enjoyed by employees in the bargaining forum where they are in excess of the norms. An example that I can give at this particular point is the leave policy, the maternity leave policy, where Eskom currently pays a full salary to parents on maternity leave for 5 months. And the sixth month, it pays 30% of the basic wage. The Eskom proposes to reduce that and bring it in line with the law and with norms in the industry. There are other pays benefit systems that the company wishes to reduce in order to release money to give a basic increase to the workers.
So just coming back to Mr. Baloyi, Eskom saying it's 1.5. That's all they have to offer, conditional, of course. And you have now effectively reverted to what you initially had asked for as well at 15%. So where to from here?
No, we're still at 15%, and we still believe that the 15% is a reasonable demand. You know, we made a case. We made a presentation where we explained to Eskom that actually we are only asking Eskom a 1.4% increase in the share of the 200 billion revenue of Eskom. Because what's happening is workers only get a share of 10% from the total 200 billion revenue of Eskom. And the 15% that we were requesting, plus the housing allowance that we requested of 3.5 increase, only will affect the revenue by 1.4%, which in rand value is 2.8 billion. And in that presentation that we made, we have indicated where Eskom is going to get this money. We said Eskom can get the money from the pass-through concept of the IPPs. Eskom is making a loss on IPPs. It's supposed to get that money back from the IPP office or from NERSA tariffs. It's not doing that. It's not getting the money back. The other area where we said Eskom can get the money is to be able to collect the revenue from the municipalities that are owing Eskom and cannot. Eskom is being owed something like 36 billion. And from that 36 billion, we're only asking for 2.8 billion. There are some monies that were Eskom collected from the people that were corrupt. They collected 5 billion here, 2 billion there. So we are saying, just give us a 2.8 billion there, so that the morale of the workers can be revived, so that productivity can go up.
Sikhonathi, Enum say they're not asking for much.
Adina, Mr. Khangela is not being Mr. Baloyi is not being totally forthcoming. Currently, of the revenue that he is talking about, 17% goes to wage benefits. Currently, in the financial year ended March 2020, Eskom paid in total to all the workforce, including management and the board, 33 billion rand, and Eskom employs 44,000 people. Mr. Baloyi represents about 30,000 people together with the other unions, and then there's another 3,000 to 4,000 people that are in the bargaining forum but are not trade union members. it is not correct to say that they only want 1.4 billion rand. If Eskom accepted the demands of 15% as they stand today, together with all the other increases that they are demanding, including a housing allowance of 7,000 rands per employee per month, that would amount to 15 billion rand. Totally unaffordable for Eskom, which relies on you and I, the taxpayer, in a cash bailout since 2015. As a going concern, Eskom owes its status to the cash that the finance minister distributes annually to Eskom. It is also untrue that the workers are demoralized because they are not getting a salary increase. The reality is, in South Africa, Eskom's own customers who are supposed to be paying for this electricity and who indeed will pay for any deal that has been reached, have been losing their jobs left, right, and center, have been having their salaries reduced. Eskom, on the other hand, despite all the well-publicized problems, has met its every commitment to employees who have been receiving above average wage increases over the past 3 years, whereas nobody in the management units of Eskom or the board has received a cent in a salary increase over this period. It is then, to be fair, that everybody should take some pain and accept this 1.5% increase. Management has not been getting salary increases at Eskom, only people in the bargaining forum. A company that is, for all intents and purposes, bankrupt, except for the cash bailouts that the taxpayer has been forced to pay, in addition to the already high electricity prices. So the people of South Africa are being asked again to pay 15% when they themselves are losing jobs left, right, and center, and are unable to pay for the electricity. Mr. Baloyi cannot ask Eskom to budget for money that has not been paid by the municipalities. It is absolutely correct that Eskom is owed about 35 billion rand by municipalities in unpaid debts. That money has not been able to get collected, and Eskom is doing everything it can to collect these funds. Eskom has been indeed raking in money from previous deals where corruption cost the people of South Africa lots of money. To this day, we have about 2.5 billion rand that has been recovered, that had been previously stolen by people who used to work for Eskom, that this management team is cleaning up in order to ensure that the company remains a going concern and is able to pay everybody's salary, is able to supply fully electricity to the people of South Africa.
So, Mr. Baloyi, you also, in that statement that you released yesterday, say that you condemn the misinformation by Eskom to your members, and you accuse Eskom of trying to negotiate directly with members.
No, that's correct. But I need to first say this. Mr. Mantshantsha, unfortunately, does not sit in the negotiations. He was not in the negotiations for the last rounds. In the negotiation, after we made our case in that presentation, Eskom never, ever came with a dissenting view. They never opposed our facts. We told them these are facts and they're coming from your statement. If management is failing to do its job to make sure that they collect revenue, you can't blame it on employees. Yes, it's correct that we released a statement to say that Iskom CEO is negotiating directly with members. Mantshantsha can confirm that is a fact. And in the negotiations, we raised the issue yesterday. When we raised it, Eskom actually apologized and said, no, we're apologizing. Although we said, no, your apology is not a genuine apology. But they even realized as well that the CEO is attempting to negotiate with Eskom employees directly. The issue of 17 billion, if you do arithmetic properly, just simple arithmetic, if you take 17 billion and divide it with 200 billion, you get around 9 or 8%. So I don't know why the spokesperson of Eskom is saying the information that I'm giving here is not correct. This information is facts that were proven. And we're going to present this information at the CCMA as well.
So just sticking with that statement before I get to back to Sikhonathi, you also say that you believe that the Iskom CEO has actually contravened the disciplinary code of the organization.
Yes, you see, one of the misconduct in Eskom is failing to abide to agreements with trade unions. We have a clear agreement that communication of the CBF must be done only by the Secretariat and only after there is an agreement. But the CEO goes in and communicates. That is disregarding the agreements. The other issue is misinformation. He's saying, no, the CEO has misinformed the Eskom workers on what is happening at the negotiation. By the way, the CEO does not sit in the negotiations. We don't understand why he's even communicating.
Sikhonathi?
Again, the first duty and the first relationship any employee has is with their employer, not with the trade unions. There is no law in South Africa that prohibits a chief executive and any member of management to report back and communicate on a daily basis what is happening at the wage talks. Eskom has committed over the past 2 years and is delivering on that promise every day to be transparent and fully transparent and tell the people of South Africa and its employees what's going on a daily basis during the talks. The feedback from the negotiating team goes to Eskom's employees under the name of the chief executive to tell them how far the wage talks are going in order to take everybody along to where we are. There is absolutely no contravention of any rule there. And of course, Mr. Baloyi and the National Union of Mineworkers have got every right to lay a complaint and a grievance against anyone who has broken any disciplinary codes at Eskom. What Ruyter has done and continues to do and will continue to do is to inform the employees of Eskom of the status of the talks with the labor partners. And we urge the labor partners to come to the table and treat the people of South Africa in the manner that they should. We have here an Eskom that has got no money, has been relying on taxpayer bailouts to be able to afford to keep the operations going. And that is what Eskom is doing.
So we only have about a minute left, gentlemen. So to just round it up, I see the National Union of Mineworkers wants Parliament to now investigate allegations of racism against CEO Ruyter after the Eskom board received a report from Advocate Ishmael Semenya clearing the Eskom CEO of that and other charges, allegations rather, that were leveled against him. So Mr. Baloyi, first, explain to us the rationale behind this move that you are now asking Parliament to embark on.
Second, simply, you can't actually investigate yourself. Now, if you investigate yourself, you'll find yourself not guilty. That's simple. You see, we are on record as the NUM opposing the fact that the board is saying they're going to investigate themselves. We are on record against that. We are saying we need an independent body to do an investigation. We are not saying Mr. Ruyter is guilty before any proper investigation is done. A proper investigation by an independent body must be done so that he can be found not guilty if he's not guilty by an independent body. Only an independent body can exonerate himself.
And Sikhonathi, your parting shot for us on this matter?
Again, absolutely. The Parliament of the Republic of South Africa can call any witness and start any investigation that it wants. It would be really great if the National Union of Mineworkers could present any evidence to Parliament where it has evidence of Ruyter being racist and indeed contravening any policy of Eskom. Ruyter reports to the board of Eskom and reports to the Minister of Public Prizes. the board of Eskom commissioned an investigation by the advocate of the High Court, Advocate Semenya, and Semenya did present a report after interviewing everybody that he thought could help and give particularly the accuser, Mr. Chitangano, 2 days of airtime to provide the evidence of racism and indeed all the contraventions that he made. And he actually went ahead and denied that he had made those allegations. So it would be great if the National Union of Mineworkers can actually bring credible evidence before Parliament or before the board of Eskom, as it is indeed.
Well, gentlemen, I thank you for your time this morning. We'll have to leave it there. And that was, of course, from the National Union of Mineworkers, Mr. Khangela Baloyi, and, of course, from Iskom, Sikhonathi Mantshantsha, speaking to us there about the wage negotiations deadlocking and also the report that cleared the Iskom CEO of allegations of, among other things, racism. So just before we go to news,